Something changes quietly inside a person after they have been strong for too long. What looks like resilience from the outside often hides a nervous system shaped by repeated stress, loss, or pressure. This video explores what happens when someone carries too much for too long, how the mind adapts to survive, and why those adaptations can follow a person into adulthood long after the danger has passed. Staying until the end matters because this pattern is often misunderstood as personality, attitude, or weakness. Seeing the psychology clearly can bring relief. It explains behaviors without blaming them and offers a new way to understand people who seem distant, intense, or exhausted without knowing why. People who have gone through too much rarely announce it. They often look capable, they show up, they handle things. But the cost is hidden. Psychology shows that when stress is short and contained, the mind can recover. When stress is constant, unpredictable, or emotionally overwhelming, the nervous system adapts in deeper ways. It does not ask whether the situation is fair. It only asks how to survive. For many people, the overload begins early. A childhood with emotional neglect, a home with constant tension, a role that required growing up too fast. In these environments, the brain learns one lesson above all else: stay alert, stay useful, stay in control. The child learns to read rooms instead of playing. They learn moods instead of rules. They learn how to prevent explosions, not how to feel safe. This is not trauma as a single event. This is stress without an endpoint. Over time, the nervous system becomes efficient at one thing. Anticipation, it scans for what might go wrong. It prepares for impact before it arrives. This can look like maturity, intelligence, or emotional depth. But inside, the body is rarely at rest. As that child becomes an adult, the adaptations remain. The brain does not automatically update just because life looks calmer. It keeps using what worked before. This is where many misunderstandings begin. People who have gone through too much often struggle with rest. When things are quiet, the mind fills the space. Silence feels unsafe. Calm feels unfamiliar. The nervous system interprets stillness as the moment before something goes wrong. So the person stays busy, or distracted, or emotionally guarded. They may feel uncomfortable when life is stable. They may create pressure where none exists. Not because they enjoy stress, but because stress feels known. Psychology calls this a form of conditioned arousal. The body has learned to function at a higher baseline of alertness. Lowering that baseline feels wrong, even when it is healthy. Another common pattern is hyperindependence. People who have gone through too much often learned early that help was unreliable, delayed, or came with conditions. Depending on others felt risky. So the mind built a rule: do it alone. As adults, this shows up as difficulty asking for support. Even small needs can feel like burdens. Vulnerability feels exposed, not connecting. The person may pride themselves on self-sufficiency while secretly feeling exhausted by it. This is not stubbornness. It is learned self-protection. Emotionally, these individuals may appear distant or controlled. They might struggle to name what they feel. This is not because emotions are absent. It is because emotions were once unsafe to express. When feelings were ignored, minimized, or punished, the brain learned to turn the volume down. Over time, this can lead to emotional numbing. The person feels less joy, but also less pain. It is a trade-off the nervous system makes to survive overload. Psychology refers to this as adaptive suppression. It works in the short term. Over the years, it can create a sense of emptiness or detachment that is hard to explain. Relationships often become complicated. People who have gone through too much may crave closeness, but fear it at the same time. Intimacy brings comfort, but also risk. The mind remembers that closeness once led to disappointment, responsibility, or loss. So they may keep people at arm's length, or test loyalty unconsciously, or leave before they can be left. This push and pull is not manipulation. It is an unresolved safety question. Is the connection safe, or will it cost too much? Another pattern is over-responsibility. These individuals often feel responsible for outcomes that are not fully in their control. They step in early. They manage. They anticipate. They prevent problems before anyone else notices them. This can look like leadership. It can also look like anxiety. The underlying belief is simple: if everything is handled, nothing will fall apart. This belief once kept things from getting worse, but in adulthood, it can turn into chronic tension and burnout. The body rarely gets the message that it is allowed to stop. Anger, when it appears, often confuses people. It may come out sharply or suddenly. This is because anger was often suppressed for years. When boundaries were crossed repeatedly but expression was unsafe, anger was stored. Psychology shows that suppressed emotions don't simply vanish. They wait. They surface when the system is overloaded or feels cornered. The anger is rarely about the present moment alone. It is cumulative. Then there is guilt. People who have gone through too much often carry guilt for resting, needing, or wanting more. They may feel undeserving of ease. They learned that survival required effort. Ease feels unearned. Even positive experiences can trigger discomfort. Joy can feel fragile. The mind waits for it to be taken away. This leads to a subtle but powerful belief. If life is good, something bad must be coming. This belief keeps the nervous system alert. It also keeps the person from fully inhabiting their own life. The climax of this psychology lies in one realization. These behaviors are not flaws. They are evidence of adaptation. The brain did not break. It learned. Every pattern that causes difficulty now once served a purpose. Hypervigilance kept danger visible. Emotional control reduced harm. Independence ensured survival. Anticipation reduced chaos. Understanding this reframes the entire story. The issue is not that the person is damaged. The issue is that the environment changed, but the nervous system did not get the update. Psychological healing does not mean erasing these adaptations. It means teaching the nervous system that safety exists now. This happens slowly, through experience, not logic. The body learns through repetition, through boundaries that hold, through rest that does not lead to disaster, through a connection that does not demand self-erasure. This is why insight by itself isn't enough. A person can understand their patterns perfectly and still feel them in their body. Healing happens when the system experiences something different often enough to believe it. People who have gone through too much do not need fixing. They need context. They need environments that are consistent, not intense. They need permission to be human, not heroic. And perhaps most importantly, they need to know this. The part of them that feels tired, guarded, or distant is not broken. It is the part that carried everything when no one else could. As life slows, that part may resist at first. It may stay alert. It may not trust the quiet. Over time, with patience, it begins to loosen. Not suddenly, not loudly, just enough to breathe. And sometimes, in those quiet moments when nothing is demanded and no crisis appears, the nervous system hesitates. It listens. It waits. It begins to wonder if this stillness might actually hold. Not as an ending, not as a resolution, but as the first unfamiliar feeling of safety settling in slowly without asking anything in return.